Hey guys, I have NAM248 here, and today I'm going to be doing day 2 of Puzzle Boss Rush 2. So as you can see, the second one is a Heyawake variant, Gemini, which basically means solve these as a normal Heyawake puzzle, except the solution of this grid will be the same as the solution of this grid. So for those who don't know Heyawake rules, I have the puzzles available here. I've already set up my windows. Basically, Heyawake works where shaded cells cannot be adjacent. As you can see, I've got these now worked up so that any changes on one affect the other. Anyway, shaded cells cannot be adjacent. All unshaded cells must be adjacent, or connected to each other. And anytime there are 3 room boundaries, as you can see, or sorry, the 2 room boundaries, at least one shaded cell must be on that line. So I can say that there must be a shaded cell on this line. I can say from this grid there must be one on this line, and so on. And then any number means that there's that many shaded cells in that region. So with all of that out of the way, let me just refresh these pages and fix the cell size, and let's get started. Okay, so the break in here has to be with these ones. In fact, it is with the ones. I can do so. Due to the 2, I know there's 2 shaded cells here, 1 here, 2 here. Otherwise, there's just not enough. I can also say from the 4, there's 1 in those spots. It's going to give me 2. It's tricky to look back and forth between the 2 grids. So this 3, if I were to shade here, I would break this section. Okay, that one cannot be shaded without breaking connectivity. This section I know is an implied 3, so I can unshade there. It's not, now it's useful. Very useful to have realized that. Basically, I would know I would need at least one shaded cell on each of these lines over here. Kind of keep everything connected. There's another implied 3 that instantly resolves. So 3, that one gets shaded, and both come up complete. Nice, that was a very fun one. Moving on to the second grid. This is a common pattern 4 and 3 by 3. If you shade any of those, you'd force the rest of the pattern and break connectivity. If we look at the 10 here, I'm not sure how much I can say about this 10 at this stage. Oh wait, yes, okay. The most you can fit in a 4 by 5 is 9, and along this pattern, which would then leave no more room at the bottom. So there's 2 on the bottom, and this one must be shaded. That's not the most useful deduction to make, though. If I were to shade these 2, at most 5, which would be exactly 5, that doesn't seem the most useful. If I don't shade these 2, then I'm getting at most 4 down here, and I would need 6 up in this section, which if I mark where that is not really useful either. Okay, so maybe that's not the right place to be looking. But I feel like it has to be. I feel like it has to be. I mean, I know there's a shaded cell in this. Ah, wait. There's only up to 2 here. Which means there are 5 in this block. There's 1 over here. And then there's this one. 5, 1, 2, 2. Okay, that works. So it was a combination with this 2 region. That was tricky to see. So one common thing that I think I'm pretty good at spotting in Heyawake puzzles is that kind of implied region. I can resolve the 4 without breaking the 1. Forced shade here gives me all of that. A little bit of forced connectivity stuff, and this double diagonal is interesting because I know it goes one way or the other way. I just don't know which yet. Um, hmm. Huh. Due to the 2, I can mark all of those unshaded. I cannot put 3 here, so I get that. Okay, so this is still 2. If I shade here, then I end up cutting off this bottom corner. Of course, the other grid just gives it away. No surprise, really. If I shade here, then I'm also shading down here. And then I'm also shading up here. If I unshade here, then I'm shading here and here. Hmm. It almost seems like there's a deduction on the 4 on this grid. Hmm. Oh, wait. If I take these 2 bottom ones, I'm also taking these 2, and it doesn't work. We can immediately get this, and then this 3 doesn't work. Which means this one is shaded. This one's coming down through here. And that means now if I shade this one, I've broken this 2. So it was with the 4. Now I need to come through this 3. I need to put 2 on this side, which I can only do in one way. That resolves the bottom corner. This is either shade here, which cuts off. So it does this, and that's both of those grids. Okay, moving on to these ones. This is just a common pattern, a relatively rare pattern, but I've seen it enough times that it's automatic to me. If you shade here, then you'd have to shade those in order to cut it off. Like, to fit enough, and it just cuts off. So this one's going to be largely about overlapping regions, I guarantee it. This 4 is intriguing, but it's not really seeming useful. There's enough unclued space in the corners that I don't think a global sum is likely to be useful. Let's just count that up anyway. So that would be 10, 10, 25 shaded cells called in this grid. Only 19 called in this grid. So there are 6 more shaded cells in unclued regions in this grid than in unclued regions in this grid. What does that mean? Well, if we look at this section, we're adding 5. That's not even really useful. Add 5, add 1, and that just means that, wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Down here is identical, but then that implies something very strongly about over here, doesn't it? I'm just trying to do the math on this. Okay, so if we put 6 shaded cells here, Then we're at 25 and 25. Then we can pack more shaded cells into this block. And if we do, we can pack shaded cells into this block. And due to this 4, we have to put at least 2 shaded cells here. There's no way around putting 2 shaded cells here. And if we do that, then we need to put some in here. But it doesn't quite come out to be an argument. At least nothing I can fully figure out right now. That's annoying, because I know there's something to do with that. It's because this 2 doesn't go anywhere. Not even on its lower end. I mean, it's like, yay, I can fill in this 2. Oh, wait a moment. Oh. Okay, so as soon as I put that in, there's 1 shaded cell in this box. So there's 1 here, so there's 2 here, which puts 1 of them on this side. 1 of them here. So there can be 1 here, 1 here, and that means 1 here. Oh, and that feeds back, because if there's 1 here, then I get this for certain, because I'd already established there's 1 here, and so there's 1 there, and that means 2 in this 1 by 3. That is a tricky loop. And that does, in fact, put 6 shaded cells into this upper region that I had seen. So I know there's 1 here. 1, 1. That does put 2 down here. But I'm not sure how useful that is yet. This 3 is now interesting. Maybe? No. The overlap with this 2 doesn't quite give me enough. I almost have 5 and 3 by 4 implied here, which would help, but it doesn't really. I mean, I know there's a shaded cell in this section, in this little 1 by 2. I just don't know where. If it's this one, then shade here, and it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. Uh, Small look ahead, that breaks. Man, these are just getting tougher. I wanted to say something about if this is the 2 and 2 by 2, but again, it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. Shading here. Shades here. Actually, here's an interesting fact. There's a shaded cell in one of these 2 spots, because otherwise this is a 3. I'm just not getting anywhere on this. Because I know there's 1 here. Here. Only 1 there. There's one here. I already know there's one on this end. So that means it's either this pattern over here, which I don't inherently see an issue with, or it's this one, which also gives that one. So in either case, this kind of pattern exists. Now this one's more interesting because it does, like it gives all of this stuff blocked out, and then that, and this, due to a 5 in, it's due to the 5 pattern. Um, for those who don't know, 5 and 3 by 4 in a corner, you always have to shade the corner cell and then unshade these two because this is the only spot to put the 3 and 2 by 3 if you subdivide the room. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to break. Pretty sure this is about what it looked like, yeah. The alternative, of course, being this. And the most interesting follow-up deductions are that. Just due to having to connect out through here, can't shade this cell, so you get all this. But it doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't go anywhere. Okay, here's a dumb idea. What if I did this? That's such a dumb idea. It resolves that part uniquely. And it's broken. Okay. Breaking was along this line. So there's one here. Which means there's one here. Which means there's one here because I cannot put 4 in this rectangle. More importantly, I can also mark that cell unshaded, simply because 4 and 2 by 5 on an edge can never have that center cell. If you do, you will need to create this kind of pattern, which is impossible. So that means I have one shaded cell here, one shaded cell here. That one gets unshaded. This one gets unshaded, again due to the 3. And now what? That's a really funny. Oh wait, no, that's broken. So just to point this out, shading this cell gives all of this, and that breaks. I shade this one, and this one due to my known information about the 2. And I can shade here. There's one now forced into this spot, and one forced into this spot due to the 3. This is a really interesting set of subdivisions to think about. Okay, where to next? Interesting thought. If I shade this cell, I end up shading this cell. Now, in order to pass through, I would need to do all of this. And now look, basically the only other option would be these 3 shaded cells, which means I would have to shade here, these 2, and then this it doesn't work. It breaks the 3. So this one is unshaded. It's not immediately useful, but every bit of information helps. now I can take a real critical look at this cell. If it is unshaded, then these two cells become shaded. This one then also has to be shaded. And then the 4 and the 3 by extension are just overloaded, which means it's a shaded cell. That's a shaded cell. That's a shaded cell. Oh, and just again, 2 by 4 and an edge. Only can support 3 shaded cells. Now that means this one is not a shaded cell. If it was, this would force 2 and the 4 would break. This top left feels like it should be fully resolvable at this point. I cannot shade these two, which means this is now a 2, which because I know there's a shaded cell in this box. Wait, do I know there's a shaded cell in this box? I get this cell unshaded anyway. I get this one unshaded, which gives me this. There it is. Finally. So some of those things I was thinking did turn out to be correct. So 1, 1, 1. And the top left is actually fully resolvable at this stage. Interesting, interesting. How many more shaded cells do I need? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So -1. So I need one less shaded cell in this section than I do in this section. Oh, wait. And including down here. Oh, but I know there's exactly 2 shaded cells in this section, which means I know there's one more shaded cell in this rectangle than in this rectangle. How is that useful? I don't think that's useful. Yeah, that's just not quite right. Wait, that looks right. Okay, little bit of intuition there. Moving on to the fourth and final of these Gemini Heyawakes. What am I looking at? Wait, no, maybe this one is based around a more global argument. Let's just think for a moment. There's 24 called on this side. There's 18 called on this side. Just want to mark where that is. Okay. So if I think about this, that just gives me a value of at least 6 in all of these areas contain at least 6 shaded cells. More if there's shaded cells on the bottom row, which there's at least 1 shaded cell on the bottom row. So there's actually at least 7 in this shaded section, which does not strike me as particularly helpful. These 6s are just a little bit too large. If they didn't include these 2 cells, then I would be able to start making deductions by subdividing it into 2 2x4s. Or but alas, that's not an option available to me. Okay. All of the regions are so big on this one. I don't think I need to worry about minimizing numbers in the unshaded segments, so that's not useful. Wait, maybe this is useful. No, even if I do put all of the shaded cells from this 2 into this block, then there's still like this as an option to pack 7. So that doesn't let me make any statements. Likewise, this doesn't let me make any statements due to a pattern like um, yeah, due to specifically this kind of pattern. Uh, at most 2 on the top doesn't really help. Wait. Okay, at most 4, at most 4, at most 3. That's not a lot of leeway. Now, can I even pack 4 down here? Yes. So yeah, at most 4 in the unshaded stuff, at most 3 in the subsection, and then at most 4 down here is almost a deduction. Where is the progress? Well, this adds 10. But adding 10 is not exactly the most useful. Oh, hang on a sec. The unshaded regions here actually have to support at least 8. Um, just because with this 1, think about it, no matter where I put this shaded cell, there will always be at least 1 shaded cell in this region. So that brings it up to 26. And this one adds at most 2. This one adds at most 3. Which means there's at least 3 in this block down here. That's not useful though. That's just not useful. the deduction has to be with this area. It just has to be. So if we just pack 4 and 2, then we get 2 here. It's just almost enough degrees of freedom here to do something. I want to figure this out. I really do. I don't want to have to resort to guessing. I'm not seeing anything really interesting about how these overlap. Other than this top left section. This 2, like there's at most 1 in this section, which I guess counts for something. Wait. Is it with the 8? There's exactly 5 shaded cells there. Exactly 5. There's another one here. If we extend it to this pattern, no, it doesn't necessarily. Well, yes, it kind of does. What is the minimum amount of shaded cells I can put here? The minimum amount is going to be 7 in this box. And that means there's at most 1 on this other line. How does that help? No way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with an added constraint from right here, where like this box doesn't work. Like we're somewhere in this area we need a 5th shaded cell. Or actually, I can state this even more simply. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that means all of these are empty. However, I can also restate these 2 columns and say all of those shaded cells are empty. That was the break-in. That is incredible. That is, wow. I should have seen that sooner because I was too busy thinking about global constraints, but I did notice this rectangle. 6 gives me this, just because I can only pack 2 up here. So it's now broken down to a 1 and a 1. I have 1 shaded cell here somewhere. These are diagonal. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And whichever one I put here, I have to put here as well. Now that means what? Oops. And hit trial mode, forgetting I'm in network play and don't have a trial mode button. Can I shade these 2? And the resounding answer to that is what I would want to say is no, but actually still no due to the 6. I think that's kind of loose and hand wavy, but oh wait, no, yeah, due to the 8. One, two, yeah, I cannot shade. Essentially, if I shade both of these, then I'm shading both of these, and I'm breaking this line just due to the one of each line. And that means that I do have to place 2 along the bottom here. And that gives me, does that give me global counting stuff? Does it? I know there's exactly 4 in this block. Oh man. So if we look at this grid, we know that there's going to be at least 3 in this bottom region now. At least 3. And additionally, I proved 1 in this section. So there's at least 4 shaded cells in unnumbered regions over here, which brings the shaded cell total up to 28. Now subtract out the 18 from here, and we need 10 in these regions. Now there's exactly 4 here, which means I need to add 6 in this region, up here, and up here. At least 6. That's not quite as powerful as I hoped it would be. Just because, well, there exists this possibility to get, like, it's a maximum of 9, basically. Now the fact that I have to put 1 here is maybe interesting. Oh wait, I can shade this one, because if I shade here, and the 3 is blocked. Wait a moment. Let's assume I just realized, what happens if I put 1 and only 1 shaded cell in this block that I just marked? Well, 2, 1, 3. Broken. And that gives me those unshaded. This puzzle is insane. And also that breaks this 6 down into 2, 2, and 2, which means there's exactly 2 shaded cells in this block. Which means if there's a shaded cell here, there exists a shaded cell here, and that brings the differential up to 7. So I need 7 shaded cells in, or wait, does it? I don't know. Regardless, like, that means that if I put a shaded cell in this section, I'm adding another shaded cell, which means this one's not actually valid. Okay, so that means my maximum shaded cells in these unshaded or unnumbered regions is now 8, and the minimum is 6. I need to put 1 here, guaranteed, due to this line with the 2s. See, 4 is still possible. Ah, wait a moment. this line right, oh my gosh, this is crazy. These two spots for shaded cells, they add nothing. Like they add to both sides, which means this block of unshaded cells here, of unnumbered cells here, contains 3 shaded cells and no more. Just by the fact that I've counted up all of the shaded cells from this grid, and then just tallied everything else up. This contains 3. So if this contains 3, then this, what can I say if that contains 3? Like, what does that actually give me? What does it actually give me to say that these contain 3 shaded cells? It gives me at least 2 here, but possibly still 3. But if it's 2, then what? I don't know. Well, actually, I do know. It means that if I shade here, and we are doing all of this, all of these become unshaded, and it just doesn't really act like it's going anywhere. Okay, back down here, I guess. You cannot shade this cell, for if I do, then I would be shading this cell, this one, and then as you can see, we've overloaded the 8 just from the lines we've established. Gives me this cell unshaded. Um, uh, I am so drawing a blank on this right now. There's so many linked pairs of shaded cells right now. I'm just finding it hard to fully just think about them. Here's one that I kind of like looking at. This is why I like looking at it. Now this cell is then forced unshaded. And, oh, wait a moment. Due to my global counting stuff, I'm going to redo the count. I need to redo the count. Look, I know there's exactly 5 shaded cells here, so I'll just add that to my total. So that would make 23. 23 shaded cells called in the left grid, and in the right grid, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So that would mean 5 in this, which I know there's 2 here, which gives me 3 in this section, and this little spot right here. But if I put one here, I am putting one here, which means this doesn't count. And that means that by doing this cell is unshaded. It means this cell is unshaded. And it's broken, which means that this is an unshaded cell. That doesn't feel okay, what about this weirdness? Um, well, it's not cut off, and it's not broken yet. Not that I can see anyway. It's just kind of instinctive, wanting to place this shaded cell to wall off. It would have to go here. Yeah, that's just not working, but not in a way I'm confident enough. That was too hand wavy to really use, I think. What if I shade here now? It just kind of leads to this pattern again. And then the alternative is this, which doesn't really seem to offer as much. Okay, maybe I can reason with these twos a little bit, like with this two a little better. Oh, here's an interesting thought. What if we shade here? Then we're pretty quickly arriving at a state like this. Okay, wait, no, this is what I already saw. And then it goes the other way. And if it goes the other way, then there's nowhere to put all the shaded cells. So that means anything that creates this pattern is wrong. And more importantly, this is my shaded cell. Okay. Now what? Now what? Oh my gosh, this is insane. All right. We cannot connect through here, which is important to resolve this. Finally gives me my 1. Let's just plop this in just real quick because I don't think it works. Why is this? Okay, that doesn't work. It doesn't work because of the 3-room rule on this grid. However, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So 48 minutes for part 1. That's right, that was all just part 1. I'm just gonna keep going. No, I'm not gonna keep going. I'm going to end this recording and make a video for part 2 soon. So part 2 will build off of these grids. These were quite tough, quite enjoyable to work on now. There's some really nice discoveries to have. Anyway, I will catch you in the next one. Take care.